The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. Half of our double header here on Positive Talk Radio. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We have Coach Michelle. She's with us. It's Michelle Sullivan, and she is working also with Allison Roberts and Behind the Power, and which is coming up in because these won't
48 days, but who's counting?
Oh, is that exactly 48 days now?
I believe it is.
Oh, very good. Well, it's a 48-day push. It's time to really push for it to fill up, and I hear that it's doing well.
Yes, it is doing well, and I want to piggyback off of what Beth said in your earlier show. Laura Marguerite has done an amazing job helping us promote, and we couldn't do it without her, and that's Allison's daughter. So we're very, very grateful to have Laura help us promote this event.
And Laura is a young one, as a matter of fact. So that's really good.
She is, but you know what? She is a very smart woman, and I mean, I count on her a lot. I've used her coaching to help me because she has knowledge that I want to learn. So we can all learn from each other. It's all good.
Exactly. And now I haven't seen this before. Your Soulful Kitchen.
Yeah, that's Beth.
Oh, is that? She's hiding from me. Okay, I get it. I thought it would be your Soulful Chocolate Kitchen.
Well, let me tell you what, her chocolate is good. And if you have an assistant that is coming to Behind the Power, you ask Beth about some chocolates, and they're pretty amazing.
That's what I hear. So that's and hopefully we're going to make that happen, because I really would like to see her go. And we're worried about the airline situation and stuff like that. But
what airline situation?
Oh, they've been canceling a lot of flights, and I don't want to. She'll be by herself, and I don't want her to be stuck.
I know what you mean. I'm just being silly.
Well, that and COVID and all that kind of stuff. So
I know it's almost like to go anywhere now, you have to have faith that you're just gonna get there.
Exactly. So what I do, I've picked the perfect scenario for me. Is I get to stay in my little house, and I get to invite people like you into my home, and we can talk, and we can have a really good conversation, and then I can go into my recliner at the evening. I have to laugh at myself. I'm not as young as I used to be. And so when you get to be a little older, then you rent a movie. I get to watch it twice, because I get to watch it the first half one night, right, and then the second half the next night.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh my gosh.
You've done it too, where
many times.
Or I'm watching the baseball game, and suddenly it's over, and it was like in the fifth inning, and so I have to Google, okay, what happened? I tell you, this getting old things.
Oh man, I love that.
In any event, I thought that we would. Well, no, actually, that's a lie. You thought that we would talk about boundaries, and healthy boundaries and unhealthy boundaries and stuff like that. And I think that's a really, really good topic for us to discuss. We haven't discussed that yet.
Okay.
It's a really good thing. First of all, describe what are boundaries.
That is a really good question. Thank you for asking that, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So,
That's how we're going to start.
if you have a relationship with anyone, whether it's a personal relationship, like a romantic relationship, or a business work, your coworkers, family, anybody that you have a relationship with, you should have boundaries. Boundaries are not for you to put up a wall and be mean about it. Um, Boundaries are just saying, talking about what you want, what you would like to do or happen or whatever. And I think of it's safety for you and the other people that you come in contact with in your life. And I had a really interesting epiphany that happened to me one morning. I was riding my bike out in the country, and there were cattle in the field next to the road where I was biking, and there was a electric fence. So it's not like a metal fence; it was an electric fence. And I was getting ready to do a workshop on creating healthy boundaries, and I thought, you know what? It's a really good thing that that electric fence is there because it protects the cows from predators, from curious people getting into the cow pasture and tipping a cow. No, not really. I don't know, but but it
I don't
also
know either, but
prevents the cows from getting out into the field or getting out into the road. And so boundaries are really beneficial for us all. It keeps us safe, and it can give us worth and peace and self respect and strength having boundaries.
the first time I heard somebody say that was when I was doing positive talk in 2003. I had no idea what the boundaries was
Me
or
too.
were, and nobody told me, and it wasn't in the general language or the vernacular of how to live your life and how to create stuff. So it's happening more so now, but people don't a lot of people aren't exposed to it, so they don't really understand
Yes.
how what their boundaries are or how to influence them, or even that they even have any boundaries. They don't get.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I will tell you, I was just 2 years ago, honestly, when I started working with Allison Roberts, that's when I began to have a understanding of boundaries. I'm gonna be transparent. I lived without boundaries. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know how to uphold them. I didn't, I was unprotected. I was
Mhm.
unprotected. And so that looked like me overgiving, oversharing, not paying attention to my needs and what I might need. That you're more important than me. It just and it really wasn't until I began to work with Allison and understand the boundary thing that I thought, okay, this is really important. And I have two daughters. And so as I was doing the work, I realized, oh my goodness, I've been living without boundaries. I've been mothering without boundaries. And when I went back to talk to both of my girls, they were like, oh yeah, mom, we already knew that. We knew it. And I said, I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being a good mom, but I overstepped some boundaries with my kids, and I've done it with my siblings. I'm the oldest of 3. So I thought it was my job to tell you what to do. And, so it's been a very helpful and eye-opening experience for me to understand what are healthy boundaries and unhealthy boundaries, which is another reason and something that I work with my clients when I coach them. We talk about boundaries because everybody has boundary issues.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why is it that sometimes it seems like people push and push your boundaries. Is that a conscious thing on their choice, or do they just not know any better?
Well, the human mind is a very interesting thing.
It is.
And I would like to say that it comes from one direction, but it could come from any number of directions. Uh, and control is one of those things. I think because of my childhood sexual trauma, I needed to control everything because I didn't have control over that situation. I didn't want anyone to take anything or just, take advantage of me in any way. So, and I would venture to say people who push and push and push uh, probably have some insecurities as well. And so maybe they might feel better because they're telling you, this is what you need to do. But who likes unsolicited advice? Right?
That's true.
Who? No one.
No, nobody does. Nobody does. That is so true. And but there are people, I at least in my world, that have decided that they make a decision, and they want make a decision about boundaries that they're going to push. And because see, I don't I know this doesn't sound true, but I come across as being quote unquote nice guy. And I don't hardly ever get mad and all that kind of good stuff. So I am perfectly ripe for picking somebody who wants to push my boundaries.
Oh, yeah. I get that, Kevin, because I was like that until I learned the language. And once I learned the language and understood the boundaries and was able to articulate myself, that changed. So I want you to say this with me.
Oh,
No
goody.
is a complete sentence.
Huh?
No is a complete sentence.
No, 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 no. It reminds me of, but way back when it was on Happy Days, and they were supposed to say something like no, and he couldn't get it out. No, it was I'm sorry, and he couldn't get it out. It's like
Oh,
for
that
me,
was Fonzie. It was Fonzie that was and he couldn't say it.
yeah, and so it's like I can't say it either. So no, no, but then but then what happens is they say, "Are you sure?" Oh no, I okay, I'll do.
And you know what's really interesting about that is that if people know, I mean, boundaries are how we teach people how to treat us. So if we don't speak up for ourselves, if we don't talk about what we prefer, what we will do, what we won't do, the people who are asking or pushing those boundaries know they can get away with it.
And which is so true. I had somebody that was kind of a regular on the show, and I did whatever she asked pretty much, and I didn't charge her any money for it and all that kind of stuff, and it kept on going, kept on going, kept on going. But this last Father's Day, I said, well, I'm not going to be available to do that this day because I'm going out with my kids and that kind of stuff. It's Father's Day, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
And so she ignored that, and she sent me what I was supposed to create for her that particular day. And so I emailed her back and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not available. I'm gone." And because I was a little irritated because she knew better. And but you know what it was? What ended up happening was because I said no, she went away.
Yeah. Okay. And that can happen sometimes, but the thing is that the people who are going to be most annoyed or frustrated with you putting up boundaries are the ones who are more than likely taking advantage of you.
And that's exactly what she was doing. And so when I stopped letting her do that, then she went away, and that taught me a very valuable lesson that she wasn't a friend to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard lesson to learn, but boy, it can make life so much better once you once you know what your personal boundaries are. And that's partly of, speaking up and using your voice. And I have definitely been learning that over the past few years, and writing a chapter in behind the power book on my childhood sexual abuse experience. And I find that the more that I'm using my voice, the more confident I'm becoming. And this is the interesting thing, is that you don't have to be mean to set up a boundary.
No.
And some people have a real a misconception about boundaries. There's a difference, I think. A boundary is going to reflect your worth. It's going to reflect your self-respect. It's going to reflect your peace. It's going to reflect your strength. But a wall is going to reflect your fear, your pain, your hurt, and your lack of self-trust.
Yep. And so there is a distinct difference between a boundary and a wall.
Yes, definitely. So if you were to think of, if you're standing in a rectangle, a boundary would be like dotted lines, all outlining inside of that rectangle. So there is some give and take, there is some flow, but a wall is solid. Nope, no, no, you go no further. And sometimes we do need to do that, But so I'll give you an example. I was thinking about this. Let's just say that, Kevin, you know that I make these most amazing cookies. They're so good. Everybody loves them. And you want me, there's a bake sale. You're speaking in, I'm in the mom world. There's a bake sale and you need 50 dozen cookies tomorrow.
Okay.
And you ask me right now, hey, Michelle, can you make 50 dozen cookies for me tomorrow for a bake sale? It's for a good cause. And your cookies are so delicious, and it would be really awesome if you could do that for me. Right. And so, if you have no boundaries, you might go, oh yeah, sure, I'd be happy to do that for you. I've got to run to the store and get everything I need, but what time do you need them? 7 a.m.? No problem. I can do that for you. Those are some serious no boundaries that I would be not upholding. But if I were to say, Kevin, thank you so much for asking me, and the fact that you love my cookie recipe, I would love to give it to you and share it with you. I'm just not going to be able to do that for you. I don't have the time, and I would need at least 48 hours to prepare for that. I hope you can find something else that will be suitable, but I'm just sorry I'm not going to be able to help you.
And by the way, you can give him the recipe all day long, but he's not going to make cookies as good as you.
But do you see what I'm saying? It's just, you don't have to be mean about upholding a boundary, but you can stand in your power.
Well, yes, indeed. You could, or you can, but there are certain things in certain situations where let me give you an example.
Okay.
I have two sons. One of them was on the previous podcast. So
Yeah.
and he said he just wanted to support me and stuff. So that's great.
Yeah.
And but I have another one, and he went camping over the weekend, and he gets paid on Friday. So he calls me Sunday afternoon. I know when he calls me on Sunday afternoon, something's up. And he says, and I've loaned him money before, and we have had a conversation that I need to be done. I'm on a fixed income now, and I can't afford to be giving him a bunch of money. And he said, Dad, camping is expensive. I said, I know. It's probably cost $300 for the weekend. And he said, how did you know? That's exactly what it cost. And that's what I had in my account. And now I don't have any money in my account, and I don't get paid till Friday. and can you help me out and loan me a couple $100 to get through till Friday? And our agreement was no, but my heart got, he's my son, and I didn't want him to starve to death or run out of gas in his truck or anything like that. So of course I gave him the money, but it was a way of manipulating the situation, because what I didn't say to him was, well, if you had $300 going into the weekend and you knew camping was going to cost about that, maybe you shouldn't have gone camping.
Right. Yeah.
If you're going to be, but so some people do that. They set you up with, and by the way, Linda says hello. Hello, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So in any event, we're talking about boundaries, and we're talking
Yeah.
with Michelle Sullivan. She is a coach, and she works with Allison Roberts at Behind the Power. She's a best-selling author. Isn't it nice to be able to say that?
Well, Allison is a best-selling author. I aspire to be one in October.
Oh,
when the
this is
book when the
okay.
book
This is
comes
the
out.
first book. Yeah.
This is my first book, yes. But it's
Yes.
not my last. I actually do want to write some books.
Do you feel like that is part of your calling, is to write?
I do, and yeah, I do think it's part of my calling, and I'm realizing as I journey along that I have a story to tell and to inspire people.
Yes. Your story actually is very incredible,
Thank
and to come out the other side and to be a powerful person like you have become is really, I'm sure that you have people in your life that have known you for a long time that are
Yes.
just a little startled with the
Yes.
degree of positive change that you've experienced.
Yeah, not only positive change, but of, those boundaries, that I don't put up with a lot of BS anymore.
As
I
well,
just don't. No.
you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't. You
Yeah.
should be able to.
But I was a people pleaser.
Of
I
course.
wanna make you happy. I want you to like me. I want acceptance. That, again, was a part of my struggle with what I experienced. I didn't know my value. I didn't know my worth. So you tell me how valuable I am, and then I'll be okay. No
We
bueno.
A lot of us do that. A lot of us feel like we should be play nice and be a people pleaser and stuff like that. But Allison set me straight.
Oh, I'm sure she did. What did she do?
Well, and this is actually on the air, so you can.
Okay,
This is on
I could go back and
KQMT.
watch it?
Yeah, you can go listen to what she said to me, because because of the work that I do now. I First of all, I want everybody to know that I'm the luckiest guy in the world, because I get to do this and I get to talk to incredible people like you and stuff. But occasionally, I'll have people that'll come and try and work within my world to try and do stuff with becoming, like a co-host, or become to take control over part of what's going on, even though they don't really know what's going on and stuff like that. And I keep doing it. I've done it like 5 or 6 or 7 times, where I'll bring somebody in and let them be here, and then they'll shove a contract in my face and say, this is what I want, or this is, and it's like, I'm doing
Wow.
this out of the, yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
And I said, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. And then now you want a contract to have some legal stuff going on. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. And so I said, why do I keep doing that, Allison? And she said, because you're not comfortable and you're not confident in who you are. So there. It was like drop the microphone time. It was, yes, because she's absolutely right.
So, what did you think about that?
I thought, first of all, that I was standing there in front of the judge in my underwear, uh,
Okay.
because because she was right on, and it was, and so that, and my associate, who's my she's kind of a consultant. She looked at me and said, "See, I told you."
Oh.
So it was just, for me, it was just validation that I can't, that I do. You remember, you're not old enough to remember, but Mickey Rooney and Shirley Temple used to do shows movies way back when.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
yeah, in the 30s and 40s, and the premise of each show was they'd be going along and something terrible would happen, and they needed a bunch of money, but they had no way to get money, and so Mickey Rooney or she would say, "I've got a barn, I've got some lights, let's put on a show."
Yeah.
And then they would do the show, and they'd sing and dance, and they'd make a bunch of money, and everybody was happy, and then the movie would end. That's what I've always wanted to do, is to have an ensemble piece where I can have everybody here and everybody gets along and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
So I will tell you this. I think that when it comes, especially if you're someone who hasn't been used to creating healthy boundaries and speaking, and saying yes or no, and you being in charge of your decisions in the beginning, it's a little bit nerve wracking because you might be afraid who's gonna go away. Will they not be my friend anymore? Will
Right.
they not want to work with me? And honestly, if they cannot appreciate and respect the boundaries that you're setting up for yourself, you probably don't need them in your life anyway.
And that is so true. That is so true, because if people want to be with you because they like you, they'll stay. If Regardless of the boundaries you set up. But if you
Yeah,
set up a boundary that says, "No, I'm not going to do this for you today because I've got other things to do," and then they delete you off of Facebook and do all that it's like, well, I
yeah,
guess you showed your true colors.
right. I had a situation several months ago with someone that I've been friends with for a long time, and I was sharing something with them that was very vulnerable. And they made a comment at the time. It was like, "Well, how did that work for you?" And at the time, I didn't really realize that wasn't a very appropriate response to what I was sharing. It took me about a week, but I woke up in the middle of the night and realized that I needed to say something to that person. So I texted them the next morning. I said, "Are you awake? I really need to talk to you." And so I called them and I said, "Do you remember that conversation that we had? And I was sharing something with you and you made the comment, 'How's that working for you?'" I said, "That really hurt my feelings. And I know I didn't say anything about it before, but I just want you to know now, I didn't appreciate that comment. And I would just like to ask that in the future that you would refrain from comments like that." And the comment that she then replied back was, "Well, do I need to walk on eggshells around you from now on?" And I said, "No, but I'm just saying I may be very guarded with anything I share with you in the future if you're going to reply that way. And you know what? We're still friends."
Now, did she recognize that what she did, making a flip comment like that?
She apologized. She
Okay.
did apologize for it, but then there was that, "Well, do I have to walk on eggshells around you now?"
No,
So
you just can't say stupid shit. That would be nice if you didn't.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I will say that when you learn how to uphold healthy boundaries, you're going to have more compassion for yourself, but also for other people. And yes, there is going to be assertiveness that's going to come along with that, but it doesn't have to be mean or hateful. It can be very kind, and you can speak your truth. But another thing that's going to happen with boundaries is that your needs are going to be met because you're going to be able to voice what it is that you need. Um, and then when that happens, then there's less anger and resentment, right? Because have you ever said yes to something and then you're kicking yourself thinking, "Why did I say yes to that?" I know. I
Yes,
know.
yes, teacher, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
and the thing is what I'm learning now, and it's too bad that for some of us it takes a long time to figure stuff out. But what I'm learning now is that if I have a healthy boundary around something, if somebody's asking me to do something that I'm either not comfortable with, don't have the time for, or it would be really inconvenient for me to do that,
yeah,
and
like
I
bake
say
50 dozen cookies.
overnight and have them by 7 a.m. the next morning,
Right.
yeah. Um, then and if you say no, and then they react poorly, or they say, "Well, then fine, I'll not be your friend anymore." They weren't your friend in the first place.
Right. Yep.
And so sometimes we need to be willing to walk away from somebody who is displaying symptoms of not being an actual friend,
Yes.
because that they're vibrating at a different level, and it's not good for you.
Absolutely. And I think when you become aware of that, you are you will begin to see the world differently. You'll begin to see your relationships differently. I overgave. I overgave myself a lot in a lot of areas in my life. And so what ended up happening with me is that I was empty and depleted, and I just said, enough, enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. And even with my kids, I mean, I love my two daughters and my husband. I would do anything for them, and I put their needs before mine, but I don't do that now. And my youngest daughter, Riley, I'll never forget this. Her first year at college, I mean, I was like, always, sure, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. So when John and I were experiencing being empty nesters, I wasn't cooking dinner every night. Things were different. And so when Riley came home the first time for break, I said, so things have changed a little bit since you left to go to college. I don't cook dinner every night. And dad and I may be going out and not inviting you to come with us. And she said, well, Mom, are you saying that you don't want me to come home anymore? And it was just that I didn't even uphold boundaries with my own children, and so now we can say no with confidence. My girls can say no. I don't assume just because I want to talk to them that I just pick up the phone and call them, or text them. Hey, and expect an answer right now. I say, hey, I really would love to talk to you when you've got the time.
Yeah,
And that's it.
and that's appropriate. That,
Yes.
and also, just as an aside, now that your girls are they still in college?
Oh no. They've both graduated now.
Yes, and because you became an empty nester, your relationship with them changed from being mom to being a trusted advisor when asked.
Yes. Yes, it did. And I've been very honest with them about the healing journey. And like I said, talking about the boundaries and being codependent. I know that you John Cole and talked about that I believe on a previous episode. I didn't realize that I was living in a codependent way. And so yeah, so when I realized that, I went to the girls and said, "Hey, I realized that I'm doing these things," and they pretty much called me out on it and said, "Yeah, Mom, you're right." And so I said, "Well, I want that to change. I want to change that."
Oh, very nice. So your girls are out of school now. Are they married, settled down, got kids? Are you a grandmother?
Well, I don't push the grandchildren. I really would love to have some, but we do not. But I have two fur grandbabies. One is married, and the other is engaged. And so there's another wedding should be coming. I don't know when, and I'm not pressing any boundaries. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying, okay, when is the wedding date? Because it's not any of my business.
Right.
Whenever they want to do it, they'll do it. and I'll be happy.
Unless, of course, you're paying for it. Then it becomes a bit of your business.
Well, yes, yes. This is going to be a collective wedding. It's going to take some money. It's going to take us all pooling in to make this next wedding work.
Well, and that's really is more modern the way it works.
That's true. That's very true.
You
Yeah.
you can't expect, like my parents got off easy. They just had the rehearsal dinner to take care of, and
Right.
then the other guy, of course, he did it real cheaply. So because
Yeah.
he didn't think we'd be married that long, and we made it 24 years. But
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to the saying no. Do you
yes,
mind if I take this in another direction?
you're the boss. You can do anything you like.
Okay. So I
Or
have,
maybe I should have boundaries around that. What do you think?
you know what? Maybe you should, because that could get you in trouble.
Oh no! I actually, in where this is concerned, I believe that that the universe is guiding this conversation, so it's
Yeah.
going to go where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody
So,
needs to hear it.
yes. And so I want to share with you 5 ways to say no nicely. Would you like to hear those?
I would.
Okay. The first one would be, let me think about that. Let me think about that. Because sometimes when we're asked to do something, we feel like we need to answer right away, right? So, what I'll tell my clients is when you're asked to do something, stop and take a deep breath.
Yep.
Can I think about that? Because if your response is to immediately say yes, that puts a little pause there. So you let me know which of the ones you think might work for you. So here's another one. Here's what will work for me. So someone's asked you to do something, and you hear them out and you say, okay, well, but here's what will work for me.
That's a good one.
Okay. All right. Here's another one. Can I get back to you?
No, because that one doesn't work for me, because then I'm honor bound to get back to them, and then I have to. I'd rather it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. I'd rather get the pain over with,
Yeah.
quicker. So
Okay.
so go ahead.
All right. Here's another one. That doesn't work for me.
That's also a good one. That's
Yeah.
also, yeah, because I feel like if somebody's asking you to do something, you need to close the door on it. Either open the door wide and say, "Come on in,"
Yeah.
or close the door so that it's clear that you don't have to have that conversation anymore.
Absolutely, because there's nothing worse than having something like that hanging over you, right?
Yeah. So it's like, have you thought about it yet? What do you think? Are you going to do it? Yes. What do you
Yeah.
think? Can
Yeah.
you say yes now? And yeah.
So I have to tell you, I was so intimidated to say no that I couldn't even say no to door-to-door salespeople that would come to my door.
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. And so sometimes I will just be nice and listen to the whole spiel, and then I tell them no. Just because I don't, it's like some people will just say no and hang up or shut the door. And I don't want to do that. So I'll listen to it and I'll say, thank you so much for your time and sharing this with me, but it's a no for me. And then I can shut the door.
Lately, because I'm a little bit older than you and a little bit older than a lot of folks these days, I get calls from, do you know what you're going to do about your final expenses?
Oh my word. Mm-hmm.
Do you want some insurance so that the loved ones in your life don't have to worry about your final disposition? And so my standard answer to them is, well, I got an answer for you. I'm not dying.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They honestly, they don't know how to handle that, because it's like,
Right.
what do you mean you're not dying? I said, well, I've decided I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Okay, but what about this one? Say you go to the store and you're buying something and it's a store that they offer a credit card. Would you like to sign up for our credit card? You how many yeah. It's like, if you just sign up this time, you can get 10% off, and then, and people
You've
say
been a
no.
you've been a my target.
Yeah,
That's
Target, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, I mean, they all
Kohl's
do
does the
it,
same thing. Yeah, they do.
and I just tell them, "Thank you so much for asking, but no." That's just it. I
See,
don't mm-mm.
and that's the smartest answer to do, because the credit cards they're insidious, and have you ever looked at the interest rate? It's like
Uh,
26%, and
it's so ridiculous
yeah,
to save 10%.
yeah,
No,
they make their money right back. They really
I
do.
know they do. So, I give people credit for even asking, it's like, I acknowledge you. I would have a hard time doing that, but no. So, and
Well,
then
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the last of how to say no nicely. Oh, I wish I could, but I'm not going to be able to.
As long as you're not lying, because if you wish you could, that would be nice, but I'm
Oh,
not going to,
yeah.
but
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that.
yeah, but I'll tell you, it's like going to a used car dealer,
Uh-huh.
and you just want to look at a car, and you don't want to buy anything today, and then you get hit up by like three or four people. Hey, can I help you? How you doing? Hey, and stuff like. No, I'm sorry, I'm not buying anything today. I'm fine, thank you very much. Well,
Yeah.
if you need anything, let me know. Here, let me get you my card, and then we can go talk to the manager and see what we could do about. It's like, no, I'm not going to buy anything today.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of these guys, they just won't take no for an answer.
Yes. Yes, and sometimes, if you have a hard time saying no, they will keep you and press you until you finally do say yes, and then you have bought a whole set of encyclopedias that you don't even need, and no one uses encyclopedias anymore. I mean, people, we've all fallen prey to something, that we wish we hadn't have said yes, and a firm no could just stop it immediately. And then there's less anxiety and stress as a result, right, of just saying no.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
by the way, and I just thought of this, so I'm just going to say it about used car dealerships. And see, my mother was the queen of asking for something that she didn't deserve,
Okay.
and stuff. So she is the only person. Her and my aunt were out looking for a car. She's the only person I've ever met that actually got thrown off of a car lot.
No kidding.
Yeah, they said no. I'm sorry, the ladies, but we're just not going to be able to help you. So you need to go down this
Wow.
because they kept asking and asking and asking and asking and
Yeah.
asking. So,
Yeah. That takes some bravado, man.
oh boy, well she also was like 5 foot or 4'11" and 88 pounds, and when that was going on, but she had a mouth on her, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So
So there's another thing that I learned through coaching, my coaching education, that I has benefited me so much, and I really just would like to share it with your audience if it's something
please,
that would be helpful. So
absolutely.
so there's a difference between agreement versus expectations. So when we are communicating with people, when we have an expectation, an unspoken expectation, we think that they're going to do something, that that the kids are going to take out the garbage. We've told them before, we expect that they're going to do it every week because that's their job. We sometimes in relationships, or maybe just in encountering people, we have unrealistic expectations. When we have spoken agreements, that is such a way of improving your communication. So it would be, so let's say you're my son, and I would say, Kevin, I know that in the past I've expected that you're going to take the garbage out every week before the garbage truck comes. I need for the garbage to be out at the road the night before, so that when they come in the morning to pick it up, the garbage doesn't get missed. Do you agree? Will you agree to do that? And so they're either going to say yes or no, but it's such a clear way of communicating instead of having expectations, because we get frustrated with those unspoken expectations. But when we can speak clearly and come to an agreement, then there's no fog. There's a clearer understanding. And I think that really does kind of play into the boundary story.
Oh, no question about it. Because if then the next time the truck comes and they don't take the garbage out, and the garbage is still there and the truck's gone, then the conversation turns to, now we had a discussion and we made an agreement. And the agreement was that you were going to take the garbage out the night before. What prevented you from taking the garbage out the night before?
Yeah.
And then they won't. Eventually, they'll get through. It'll get through to them that they can't buffalo you, and
Yeah.
But I think that all those are wonderful points. And can I add one?
Sure.
When you're having a discussion like with your significant other, and it's a kind of a might be heated discussion about bills or about money or about what each person is doing. When somebody says something and you stop them, then you respond by saying, now this is what I heard you say. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So you may feel like a parrot when you do that, but it actually is a very important way of letting the other person know that you hear them. So you would say, what I hear you saying is, you would like for me not to spend any money on this credit card so that we can pay it off. Is that correct? So I'm just using an example. Yes, being seen and heard and understood.
Very, very important.
It is. Yeah, and I think that we really could brush up on our communication skills.
Yep. And the other one that is one of my favorites is, God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason.
That's right. Yes. Yes, exactly. Um yeah, and so that takes just slowing down and listening to the other person.
Yeah, there was a disc jockey in town. He does a morning show, and a lawyer came on and was talking about listening skills. And it was Danny Bonaducci. I don't know if you know,
Yeah, I know who Danny Bonaducci is.
from
The
the
Partridge
Partridge
Family.
Family. Well, he's in Seattle now, and he does a morning show. And Danny's always been known as being kind of a bravado, loud kind of guy. He used to, have charity fights with people, and he was into drugs, and he's had. Let's just say he's had a full life.
Mhm.
Um, but the lawyer said to the gal he was talking to, a client, and was saying, sometimes God gave us two ears and one mouth, and sometimes it's good to close the mouth and open your ears. And Danny Bonaducci said, I never heard that before. And the lawyer said, well, there's a reason why, Danny, because you never close your mouth and you never listen. So, and that a lot of us have a problem listening to someone. We are continually trying to formulate our next line of attack when we're going to have the conversation, rather than absorbing what we are being given as information. And that's why this is what I heard you say is a very important thing, and it can clear up a lot of problems.
It absolutely can. And I think as a coach now, I listen much more intentionally than before. I was not a good listener before. I was, as you said, thinking about the next thing to say, or just formulating the conversation in my head of where I wanted it to go. I probably did a little bit of that in this interview.
No, you were fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you. And you were fabulous.
Well, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and thank you for the compliments on my new growth.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So it's funny, before we went on the air, I thought we were already on the air when we were having this conversation. So when you left and you came back, I was like, "Oh, this was just a conversation between Kevin and I. Okay."
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
already thought we were on the air.
Nope, nope. I had to do my. I have to do everything in order. It's
Okay.
I'm kind of anal that way. So,
Yeah.
um, but by the way, I want to thank you for being here, and you're going to be at Behind the Power, and that's October 19th through the 21st
Yes, it
in
is.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Go to AllisonRoberts.com, and you can look at Behind the Power and get all the information you need.
Yes, you can. You can. And this is actually my second time to attend Behind the Power. I went last year as a participant, as did Beth, your previous guest, and it was life changing for me. And I had already been working with Allison, but I knew that there was more that I wanted to learn and heal from. And it was interesting because you did ask Beth the question, "How did you meet Allison?" My story, how I met Allison, was I had a business coach that I was working with, and they were in a mastermind group together. And so Allison was a guest of my business coach, and I watched the Facebook Live, and everything that Allison said resonated with me. And I thought, I need to join Painless Pivots to Power. So that's how I was introduced to Alice. To Allison, it was through another coach.
And it worked out beautifully for you.
Oh, it did. I'm so grateful. I really am. Yeah.
It's a really cool group that you guys are in and working with, and it's pretty awesome. It really is pretty awesome. And I know that one of the next steps that we are going to do, as in Positive Talk Radio and you guys, is I want to do on KKNW, have two or three of you there at the same time so that we can talk about different aspects of life
Yeah.
and maybe take calls if somebody has a
Yeah.
desire to get some coaching right there and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do that. That'll be fun.
I'm excited about that. I already said yes.
Oh,
So,
good. Did Allison ask you?
well, she asked us all in the group, all of the authors. She's already asking us, and yeah.
She asked me, and I told her absolutely yes. And I think she's already booked it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but that's going to be great fun. And Allison, if you're listening to this before September 9th, the next time Allison will be on uh, uh, Positive Talk Radio with KKNW will be September 9th at noon. So,
Okay. Yeah. Hey, it's already September 1st.
isn't
It'll
it
be here.
amazing how time goes
Oh
by?
my word. It is. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna lay down tomorrow. It's gonna be Behind the Power event.
Oh, it will be.
It
It's
will
coming
be.
up. It's coming up very quickly,
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah.
So anyway, Michelle Sullivan, thank you so much. I'm going to set myself aside for a second, and I'd like you to tell our audience that's listening now, and those that are going to be listening later, anything that you would like them to know.
Aw. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for those of you that have been watching. And I just want to encourage you to live your healthiest life and know that boundaries are not a bad thing and that they can really make your life so much healthier that you will have respect for yourself and for other people. Build your boundaries, but tear down your walls.
There's a bumper sticker right there. And I'd like to thank Michelle for being here. It's an honor to have you here. And I
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on I guess this would be called, I don't know. Well, you wait there and I've got to do this and I'll be right back.
All right.
Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of positivetalkradio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named positivetalkradio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another.